Welcome back to You're All Doomed, the stupendous podcast that confusedly scrambles around to the killer cut of Friday the 13th, 2009. I'm unnecessarily sinister Greg.
And I'm Juicy Brian.
This segment begins with Trent dicking around in the dark and ends on the most indiscernible screenshot of all time. Bree is creeping around upstairs and notices a window is open. Although it's not open enough for anybody to climb in, but they keep showing it, so it just seemed kind of a strange detail to focus on. She checks behind a shower curtain, only to find nothing is in the tub, and then is grabbed from behind and her mouth is covered by Jason.
While she's struggling to breathe, we get this close-up of Jason's eye, and it's almost like he's taking a second to think about what he wants to do next, because he's almost like, he's got his hand over her mouth, she's struggling, and he's kind of like, okay, what next? What's my next move here? And it's kind of like a cool like calculation that we don't really see.
Yes, they linger on it in a way that made me think he was teeing up for a really good head crush. Like he was like, okay, here we go. And then instead what he does is he basically, chucks her onto some antlers that are hanging on the back of a door. It feels like they changed their minds midstream there.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he's about to do something absolutely epic. And then it's just kind of...
Yeah, then he pulls his punch for some reason.
Yeah, it was odd. Bree was played by Juliana Guill. She was a late addition to the cast, apparently replacing another actress. She appeared in the straight-to-DVD movie Road Trip, Beer Pong, which is a strange similarity to this movie, and was apparently Tony Stark's assistant in Captain America Civil War. I could see a very similar nipple placement scene playing out with Tony Stark underneath her.
Totally.
We never really got a payoff for her video camera thing, did we?
No, and that's why I kept bringing it up, because she is using it a lot and there's no payoff. Like I thought maybe we were going to get some like first person footage of Jason, or Jason was going to take it and start filming something. But it's like, other than just capturing a couple of like drinking moments and partying moments, and I think she was filming when she was having sex with Trent, then it's it. So I don't know, maybe, we've alluded to the plan that there was originally going to be a sequel to this movie. So maybe the idea, I highly doubt they were thinking this far ahead, but maybe the idea was that they could find this video camera later on and see some, maybe it captured some footage of Jason killing people, but
that would have been great.
Right. But no, there's absolutely zero payoff.
Maybe she was going to film Chewie's condom experiment
while he was fucking the penguin or all those other things he had going on.
Trent hears this little commotion and goes to see what happened. Meanwhile, Officer Brack pulls up in the police cruiser, which Jason sees through the little window that we just got a glimpse of. Brack knocks on the front door, and Jenna peers through the window to confirm his identity just as Jason drops down like a ninja and rams the fireplace poker that Lawrence had through Brack's left eye and the door. Boom! Brack was played by Richard Burgi. He was in a ton of soap operas in 90s television and a star of the show The Sentinel, which a lot of people from this movie series have been in. He was also on an episode of Firefly and in Starship Troopers 2, Hero of the Federation, which I'm going to guess was probably not as cleverly tongue-in-cheek as the first Starship Troopers. He also appeared in Hostel Part 2 and The Green Inferno.
Apparently he was cast like 12 hours before filming began because they didn't have anyone to play this role. So he just kind of like stepped in and did it.
Good Lord.
As things are starting to unfold here, so you've got Jason jumping down from above after killing Bree upstairs. It's like, because we were just talking about why was he on the ledge to begin with and how did he get up there? And it was almost like they just needed a way to get him upstairs without getting him in the house. But I don't know why wouldn't you want him in the house? I feel like that's a cooler threat than having him outside. But there's still no reason why he was up there. Because you could have... you can argue that, okay, well, Bree's up there and how do you kill her? Well, you bring Bree downstairs where Jason is, but there's very little explanation by why Jason was ever up there to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Bergie's death has caused everybody to book upstairs, where they encounter Trent. He thinks he sees some legs in a closet and fires the gun. They realize it's just empty clothes, and he pushes them aside, which somehow dislodges Bree's body from the room on the other side of the hall. She thumps to the floor, and the noise makes Trent fire again through the door of that room. He peers inside, sees her body, and I can't tell if we're meant to think he believes he shot and killed her, or if he knew that she was already dead.
No, I think Trent thinks that he shot through the door and accidentally killed Bree. Like, he doesn't know that Bree was, or that Jason was in the house, because no one's seen Jason in the house. So he thinks he killed Bree. He sees it and immediately comes up with this plan. Oh shit, Jason killed him. We got to go. And then takes off running.
Okay, so he's being a true dick.
Yes.
Okay. They all run back downstairs and out of the house. Trent beelines for the cop car to radio for help as Clay struggles to find the keys to his tiny motorbike. Bree's body is hurled down onto the windshield of the cop car. I like that Trent shrieks like a little girl, but I don't like that Jason has now teleported upstairs inside again, all over the place. It makes no sense.
Yeah. It's starting to get really sloppy.
It's starting to feel a lot like Part 7, where people keep going out into the woods and coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And, ugh. Everybody scatters. Trent runs into the woods while Clay and Jenna run past Lawrence's corpse floating in a previously unseen hot tub. This is an addition for the killer cut. It was not in the theatrical cut. And it would be fine if we saw Jason dumping Lawrence's body into, or killing Lawrence in the hot tub. But why it's now just floating there in this cloud of blood just kind of aggravated me.
Did we even see the hot tub at all before this? I didn't think so.
We had no
either.
idea there was a hot tub in the house.
Yeah, because last time we saw Lawrence, he had just been kind of like thrown down onto the ground, right? And that's when he had the axe through his back. So yeah, Jason moved him here into the hot tub. And again, it's something with no payoff. It's like, okay, well, what's the benefit of having him in a hot tub rather than having him on the ground? It's still a shocking sight to see someone with an axe through their back. So there's not much point to this. Trent is booking it through the woods, and he slips and he drops his gun in a big puddle. He tries unsuccessfully to dig it out, and so he just keeps running until he gets to a road. He's narrowly missed by a tow truck that goes speeding down the road, and the truck actually stops, and Trent tentatively starts to approach it. And the driver does this really spooky, like, come on, slow hand wave out the window that was really creepy. And like, all you see is the arm, and there's kind of like the hand just kind of like gesturing like, yeah, come on over here. And I would not have approached that truck if that was the hand motion.
Absolutely very, very creepy. But why? Another example of the locals being so weird.
Yeah. You would think that if you saw someone in danger, run out in the road like that, you would at least lean your head out the window like, what are you doing? Like, what the hell's your problem? Or like, do you need help? Or like just something, but not this like kind of, it's trying to be helpful. Like, yes, come over here. But it's also being so menacing in how slow and methodical it is. It's like, I don't know.
It might have worked if we had gotten some indication that the locals don't like Trent's family because they're rich snobs or something. And so this driver's like, oh, it's that fucking kid. Come on over, asshole. Or something like that. It felt very out of place. It turns out it's mean old Mr. Garrett, the owner of the barn.
As Trent gets near the back of the truck, Jason pops out and skewers him from behind with his machete. Jason then slams Trent's body onto the hay bale spike on the back of the truck, and the driver just drives off.
Trent's pinned to it like a bug.
Yeah. So R.I.P. Trent. My wife Lynn was very happy when Trent got killed, and she even said, at least we don't have to listen to that crybaby anymore.
Trent was played to perfection by Travis Van Winkle, who played allegedly exactly the same character, even named Trent, in the very first Michael Bay Transformers movie. He also played John in Sexual Harassment Orientation from 2013, which I absolutely want to see. He appeared on Veronica Mars and is apparently very involved in the Big Brothers Big Sisters organization. He seems like a pretty nice guy, actually. He's just really good at playing douchebags.
You mentioned that he also played someone named Trent in Transformers, and according to Michael Bay, this is the exact same character, and that these characters live in the same universe as the Transformers.
I hate that more than anything in the world.
You don't like the idea that this like asshole Trent from the Transformers movies goes on to get skewered by Jason a couple years later?
I don't like the idea that we could have a, Jason versus Megatron movie or something.
What, you don't like that idea?
Oh my God. Why? Clay and Jenna, meanwhile, run past Chelsea's body drifting on the shore of the lake and reach Camp Crystal Lake again. This movie is geographically a mess. Apparently, we're running around the same square mile postage stamp of property. We've seen the same locations over and over again. Characters keep stumbling upon the same locations. But why would Clay and Jenna go back to the camp? Again, if Whitney had left something from her, behind from her earlier escape that led them to want to go look for her there, that would make sense. But as it is, they're trying to get to safety. Why would they go back to the place they know Jason's going to wind up coming to?
Right. There's a lot of messy things going on here. Like the fact that Chelsea's body is still on the shore, like that doesn't align with what we've seen Jason do in this movie, where he's picking up the bodies. He's cleaning up after his mess.
Excellent point.
And, he even picked up the headless Donnie body, but Chelsea, he's just going to leave on the shore.
What happened to Nolan in the boat? That had to crash into the
It's still going
somewhere.
in circles on the lake. There's some poor lake cop who's trying to corral the boat.
So Clay and Jenna are now creeping around the Voorhees house for another fucking tour. We see all the same rooms again. Clay is somehow armed with an ice hammer, and they're overheard from a re-imprisoned Whitney below. She screams, and they find the network of tunnels. Down in the tunnels, Clay and Jenna walk past a wheelchair that's hanging up on the wall. Chrissy asked if this meant that Jason killed somebody in a wheelchair because she's never seen part 2. So I got to tell her the story of Mark.
How charming. Did you notice that like Whitney was screaming like crazy, which led Clay and Jenna down into the tunnels. But the second they get down into the tunnels, Whitney stops screaming. They do eventually find her, though, and she's shackled to her cozy accommodations. Clay uses a pickaxe that he had grabbed earlier to break through the chains, but Jason has returned home.
Whitney looks to be in pretty good condition for having been imprisoned underground for 6 weeks. Her clothes don't seem all that dirty. She seems pretty well fed, and he's obviously been taking care of her. I feel like she would look worse for wear for having been down there that long.
Yeah, definitely.
It's also interesting to me that they managed to free Whitney and bolt down the far end of the tunnel, and Jason hasn't heard any of this, not even the whacking of the pickaxe on the chains. It's only when he sees that Whitney is gone that he takes off after them.
They run around for a while until Clay finds a hatch that they can climb out of. He and Whitney climb up first, and as Clay is helping Jenna, a machete slices through her chest, kills her. R.I.P. Jenna.
Yeah, this death made me sad. She was alive long enough to comprehend what was happening to her, which was kind of chilling. And I mean, she was a nice person in the movie. They definitely had been setting her up to be a final girl type, but obviously that's going to get thrown out the window when they rescue Whitney. So I was just kind of sad to see Jenna get killed like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of, we got to the point in the movie where there's two final girls, and I guess they felt like they couldn't keep both of them, which is a shame, because I think they totally could have done that. But yeah, killing her off was a bit of a bummer.
She was played by Danielle Panabaker, who plays Killer Frost on the Supergirl and Flash TV series. She also appeared in Piranha 3 Double D, and apparently graduated from high school at age 14, getting an English Lit degree at age 19. As Clay and Whitney run down the tunnels, they knock over a kerosene lamp, proving that Jason is the kerosene thief that Donnie was so worried about. Clay and Whitney then reach a ladder, which they climb and find a hatch at the top.
What I don't understand is why are they still in the tunnel if they've already climbed out of one hatch? Because up to this point, we haven't really seen anything that suggests that this is a multi-level tunnel. Like they go down, Jason goes down to a trapdoor and he's down in the tunnel. But we see them go through one hatch because that's where Jenna gets killed. And so they're on a level, and then they go up to another above ground hatch that takes them to something that we'll see next week. And I don't, this is the first time we've really ever seen like a staggered level tunnel.
Yeah. What was the hatch that Jenna got killed in? That's a good question.
That wasn't, that like in its defense was not like a trap door or something. It looked like it was like a ventilation, because it was like a grate of some sort that they pushed up and snuck out of, but that's still, there's still a level above that.
Yeah.
So
Right. I don't know. Chalk it up to the geographical mess that this movie kind of turns into in the third act.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we leave things for this episode. We lost 4 people this time: Bree, Officer Brack, Trent, and Jenna.
To hear more about my Shia LaBeouf Transformers Friday the 13th crossover, you're just going to have to tune in next week to
Nope.
to the next episode of You're All Doomed.